Today on Unsolved Florida, we have a more recent missing persons case from 2024 that has not gotten a lot of media attention, so I'm going to be covering it today. Ian Benjamin Rogers, age 39, was last seen on August 26, 2024 in Crawfordville, Florida, driving his white 2019 Dodge Ram 1500 Hemi 4-door, and the license plate was RSKU 57. His truck was last seen on August 26, 2024, driving into Tom Brown Park, which is in Tallahassee, Florida. Ian was born on February 19th, 1985. He is a white male, 5'9", approximately 240 pounds, brown hair, and brown eyes. On August 26th, Ian dropped his girlfriend off at her work, went back to their house, and then drove to visit his mother all around Crawfordville, Florida. He got some tools from his mother's house and kissed her goodbye. He was supposed to work that day, but he never showed up. Cameras picked up his work truck entering the Tom Brown Park in Tallahassee, but because of distance and quality, the driver of the truck could not be identified. Also, there is no record of the truck ever leaving the park. This park is 255 acres just east of Tallahassee with a large lake in the middle of it. It has playgrounds, skating areas, biking and hiking trails, and it's a very popular place. According to Tragedy, which is a true crime podcast, Ian worked for Spartan Exteriors and had recently received a promotion there. Between 9:30 in the morning and 12:30 p.m., there are reported phone calls between Ian and his family members and coworkers. One of these calls was to his coworker mid-morning, letting them know that his truck was overheating and he would be a little late. Ian's boss allegedly went to Ian's mother Teresa's house that evening to tell her Ian never showed up to work. Another thing this podcast mentioned after talking with Ian's family is that the day after he went missing, August 27th, is his only child's birthday. Now, on Facebook, there are a lot of pictures of him and his son, and it looks like maybe he had another son as well, perhaps a stepson. I don't know for sure. Sunshine State Sonar has been searching in the park where his truck was last seen, with drones looking for the truck and sonar looking for Ian. According to a YouTube channel called Depths of History, they spent the day searching for Ian at the last place his phone pinged, as well as furthering the search that Sunshine State Sonar did. They searched the lake extensively, and his truck was not in the water. Since he has been missing, his brother Daniel passed away about 3 months ago of natural causes. He was not at any of the services and is still missing. News outlets report on the pain his mother and his family are going through not knowing where he is. So, thoughts on this case? There's not a ton of information other than his day, but his family has been pretty active on social media, especially with the lack of coverage that it's getting from true crime podcasts and missing persons pages. So what we really know, other than what I've mentioned, is that his brother was the last person to see him alive, and he was the one who gave the description about what he was wearing. It was at his mom's house where they chatted in the yard after Ian said goodbye to his mom. So again, just thoughts on this case. I do think it is odd that Ian had a live-in girlfriend, but the boss showed up at his mother's house, didn't call the girlfriend or the mom. He physically showed up after someone just didn't show up to work that day. This could be explained by the boss having a friendship with his family, knowing them personally, but Ian is almost 40, so I would assume that his emergency contact would be his partner, especially if they were at the point of living together, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's just something I found odd. I would also like to know if it was normal for him to leave work tools at his mom's house or stop by often in the morning. I know the family is intent that he did not take his own life, but the fact he stopped by her house that morning and apparently made some calls to family and friends seems like something someone who knew they were going to pass away would do. Again, we don't know the context of these phone calls that he made or even if people answered, and I call my mom all the time, so forgive me as I just play devil's advocate here. The weirdest thing to me in this case is the fact that the truck entered the park and apparently there's no record of it leaving. It is a 2019, so the truck should come with GPS and perhaps OnStar, and the fact it was a work truck, I would assume that the company could get that data information. Obviously, it can be disabled, but then you have to ask who is going to the lengths to turn off the GPS. Was it stolen? Is there any way out of the park where cameras would not see you? And would perhaps Ian know that? Or would someone else know that? I would also like to know how often he went to this park, if it was familiar to him. It wasn't too far away. Lastly, the Tragedy podcast mentioned his child's birthday and how he had been making plans for the following weekend to celebrate his birthday. From a psychological standpoint, some people who know that they are going to commit will talk about the future and even make plans, even though they know they'll never attend. However, it is the main reason his family says he did not just run away or harm himself, and I tend to agree with that. 3 months after his disappearance, the police changed his case from a missing persons case to suspected foul play in a criminal investigation. Police say they did this because they acquired his phone records and his bank statements, which helped lead them to this conclusion, but nothing else has been shared about that. There has been little media coverage, like I said, besides his family sharing and posting on Facebook, which is where I actually found out about this case. There is a private group on Facebook called Operation Bring Ian Rogers Home. Police, family, and friends have searched on ATVs, drones, sonar, plus some walking searches, but it doesn't seem to be like a huge community spread out event that everyone is looking for him. I don't know if that's because of his age or because of the circumstances of his passing, and the police really haven't commented too much on his case. It doesn't help that the truck he was driving in doesn't have any really distinguishing marks except a small dent on the driver's door. There's no company logo. There are a million white Ram trucks out on the road as well. I'm just going to put this in here at the end. This is his girlfriend, and again, it's public on Facebook, so I'm not blaring out the name. You can go search it. It's very easy. She has shared where her and the family have looked. There's a bunch of comments, other places that they have searched, but I haven't seen really any recent posts from this year. It does seem to me that the family believes that he is still alive, even though the police have ruled it, a criminal investigation. On this flyer here that the family made, you can see that he does have identifying tattoos. So just to finish us off today, Ian was last seen wearing a black hat, sunglasses, a long blue sleeve shirt over a white undershirt, tan cargo shorts, and brown or black work boots. If you have any information about Ian's disappearance, please contact the Wakulla County Sheriff at 850-745-7100. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you next time.